Welcome, friends. It's Miss Gisa, and today we have author illustrator Joanne Roach Evans back with us. Joanne's written a seashore series that includes books about seashells, seaweed, marine animals, plovers, and her latest, wildflowers from the Northeast coast. Welcome, Joanne.
Oh, hi, Gisa. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's good to be here with you again.
It's so wonderful. And I am a big, big fan of all your books. I love using them for my classroom, and my daughter loves them as well. And I just wanted to hear all about your new book on wildflowers. I know you incorporate your love of nature and the ocean into every one of your books.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I wondered what inspired you to write the Wildflowers book?
Well, I had sent the Seashells book out to, I might have told you this before, I'm not sure. But years ago, I sent the book out to a publisher in north of Boston in Massachusetts. And he said, I might be interested if you have a series. So that's what started it. So at the time, I thought, well, what else would I do in this series? And my niece had asked me to do Seaweed, I think around that time. And so I did kind of some mock covers of what I would do. In fact, I'm sending you that file because if you want to use that, you can see. Now they're rough. Okay, they're rough.
Yes.
Was just kind of what would I do if I did the whole series? Wildflowers was in there. It was actually seagrasses and wildflowers,
Yes.
but it was enough to bite off just with wildflowers.
And
The
I
grasses
see,
get one of the grass gets in there, but I don't make too much of it, even though it's very important to the
I,
seashore.
I also see the rocks. Is that one that's coming up in the future?
I'm hoping to, but I'll tell you, there's a lot to it, and
Okay.
it's very difficult to identify them. At first, I want to do more of a mostly scientific.
Hmm.
And then I think it's Leo Leone actually has a book about rocks.
Yes.
And it's
Yep.
a little bit more whimsical. Do you know which one I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Yes.
It's black and white,
Yep.
and it's more whimsical. And I thought, well, I might, if I do it, I'll do part science and part whimsy.
Hmm.
But also, don't you know, one of my favorite illustrators announced not long ago that they're coming out with a book like next month, All the Rocks We Love.
Yes.
Now, I did get a look at it, a preview on Amazon, and it is different than what I would do. It is
Great.
different. And
Great.
so that's a kind of a good message to a lot of anyone
Yeah.
who is thinking about doing a book. Sometimes I don't do my research first about what's out there because I just want to write it purely from where I want to write it. And this happened to me with Seashells too. I was writing Seashells and I think I was almost done. And then I saw a book about seashells. And I thought, oh, there's no reason why I should do it. It's already been done. It's gorgeous. I don't need to do it. So I order the book, I get it in, and it was totally different than
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. And that taught me that don't worry, because usually whatever you do is going to be much different. Yeah.
That's really a good message to both
Mhm.
adult authors and child authors.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
because you're gonna have a different voice, you're gonna have a different approach.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm rooting for the rock book to come out next.
Okay. I was painting rocks all last summer, so it's not like I haven't been working on it, but
Yeah.
I realized this one could take many years,
Yes.
So anyways,
Yeah. Well,
so we'll see.
how did you decide on the wildflowers that you illustrated for your wildflowers book?
That was actually, it's funny because I was getting into it, and that was one of the hardest things, because I would sit down and I would look at guidebooks and I would write down, maybe 100 of possible candidates. I wrote a lot, and I would take all these notes and I would do the research with a lot of good guidebooks and online.
Mhm.
But the big test was going to the beach, because I'm really, every book that I've done is really regional. Like,
Yes.
because when you get a guidebook, right, and they're telling you say seashells or flowers from around the world, it's overwhelming. Even if it's like North American,
Yes, I
right?
agree.
There's going to be hundreds. So you're like, but no, would I see that on this coast or would I see
Right.
that here? And so some of them are actually, they're found like all over the place. So it was easy to pick the first few. The
Okay.
beach roses, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The salt spray rose is very easy because they're everywhere. They're in
Yeah.
people's backyards. And they're just at every beach you go to. And the beach pea was one that I was extremely familiar with, and it's everywhere.
Okay.
And so I went like that. So it was the first three were really familiar. And
Okay.
again, I'm also considering what would children see, because this is not, I can't say that a family's going to see something, what's the chance of them seeing it? So I try to consider that too. Do you have to go hiking for miles to get out to these dunes to see this wildflower? No.
Right.
Want to find things that they're going to see on the beach
Yes.
and that they're going to see on the seashore. And so that was a big criteria, like, what are we going to actually see? So that was a lot of my experiences. So several of them were very familiar. And those three are the top three that I think of: the beach rose, the beach pea, and the sea rocket, which is one of my
Okay.
favorite. And I was very familiar with those. So that's, what I decided to include. There was a lot that came in and then got thrown out too. And part of it, I don't know if this is helpful to do this, but part of it is I actually wanted to keep a balance. That may seem silly, but the three white ones, the three yellow, the three pink,
I
the
like
three
that. I
purple.
like that. Yeah. I,
It helped me to, kind of define, it kind of narrowed it down a bit.
yes.
Yeah.
And I love that you had said, you really want the flowers that kids can really see when they get there. They don't have to go like hiking deep to see these
Right.
flowers. And it's like, that's what I love about your books, Joanne, is that they're field guides. So a kid can grab their book and just get out there and learn about and touch and smell, everything, like the seaweed, the wildflowers, the seashells. That's why I know I keep planting this seed, but I need this series of all the books, the seashells, the rocks, the wildflowers here on the Pacific coast.
I know, but I keep hoping that someone will watch your videos, some writer, some illustrator, or an agent, somebody that'll
Yeah.
go, because really, I feel like I would need to live there. I would
Yeah.
need to live there and
Yeah.
explore for years.
Yes.
And in order to do it justice,
Yes.
but if anyone ever contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm going to write this book," I'd be more and send me the samples, and
Right.
I'd be more than happy to paint them, or to help write it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really want to feel like I saw those. And even with this book, I mean, one of the things I did with this, and I had that thought early on, is I wanted to include where I originally took the photo. Where did I actually see these roses? Where did I see it? And that way it allows me as the painter to get to do the landscape painting, but
Exactly.
also, which I enjoy, but also the context is important to me. It's like field biology. It's like you're not just isolating it like a typical book maybe about flowers, right?
Right.
It's isolated, there's a white background. Would have been easier. Would have been a lot easier had I done
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. But not as beautiful.
I wanted you to sort of experience, what do they look like where
Right.
they grow,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then I included the names of the different beaches where I photographed
I
them,
love that too.
because I wanted people to again connect with it. And I was telling you a story earlier that my neighbor's son said, "Oh, well, we've been to that beach. We've been to that beach." And I just feel it helps you connect with them more, even,
Absolutely.
right? So,
Absolutely.
but anyway, so yeah, choosing them was, I had to be there. I photographed most of them myself
Okay.
so that I got to experience what time of year they were blooming, what context they were blooming, things like that. So it made it just more realistic, I guess.
Yeah. Which do you have a favorite wildflower?
I actually love the beach pea, but
Okay.
I love the sea rocket too. Like the sea rocket have always like fascinated me. Like they're just so weird looking. So that was this one. But the flower is so tiny. That's why I like try to do a little close up there. It's
Right.
so very tiny, but I really like this one because this one's tough. One of the things I found out about wildflowers at the coast that I enjoyed, like not only are they beautiful, but they're tough. They
Yeah, they
have to
have to
be to
be.
grow at the seashore. And I
That's
like
right.
that about that. I like that about the sea rocket. It's really like a succulent, so it can hold water. And then that led me into, that was another thing. Okay, so we're not just talking about wildflowers, we're talking about how they've adapted. And then so then I started to look that up and research that.
Yes.
Why is this one able to survive in this area? Why is it? And so that was a lot of fun, finding out the different factors that how they've adapted, which I know you can relate to too.
Totally. And I'm always fascinated by that, like how
Right?
plants and animals adapt to their environment, especially when it's a harsher environment, right? They have
Yeah.
more to deal with than just like in your backyard.
Right. With you tending them or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Are
And
there specific wildflowers that you feel are particularly important for children to learn about?
um, well, like I think most the ones that are most familiar,
Mhm.
like I said, the ones that they're
Yeah.
going to see on the beach. And
Yeah.
the thing that's important to me that I wanted to get across to this book, which I really don't say it till the end, and that's you don't want to walk on them. You like
Right.
beaches that some of the beaches I go to, parents let their children just play in the dunes, and I'm guilty of that. I loved to play in the dunes as a kid.
Yeah.
But not only do they let them play, they leap off the edge of it and they break down. Literally, we've lost a whole dune to the beach I go to because of that activity.
Yeah.
Now, the state end of the beach, they protect it. So the dunes are doing fine. But the one area that's public, it's getting destroyed.
Yeah.
But anyway, but the important things about the wildflowers is they're important to holding the seashore, right? They really are. They help hold the sand.
Yeah.
So that was something I knew, and also how important they are to like the bugs and the butterflies and the
Yeah.
birds.
It's an ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all need each other,
That's
really.
right.
Yeah.
And most people don't think about like, yeah, it's holding down
Yeah.
the seashore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's protecting not only, animals and insects or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
protecting everyone on the other side of those dunes, all those
Yeah.
houses, the cottages, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's helping to keep the dunes in place and protect them throughout all the storms.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that made it even more interesting, right? And
Absolutely.
that's
Most
important.
people don't think about that when they're going to the beach.
No.
Did you encounter any challenges while illustrating this book?
Yeah. You mean just as a painter? Just as
Yeah,
a painter.
or like just to ensure the accuracy and of the specific species that of plants that you were illustrating.
Because I photographed them, most of them myself, I didn't
Mhm.
have any trouble. I don't really have any trouble with that.
Okay.
Uh, I would look at other sources if I felt like I didn't get a good enough photo of it. But
Yes.
because I do the photography,
Yes.
uh,
You can control what.
I control the
Yeah.
information that I'm getting for the most part. And the couple places that I couldn't get to, I really wanted to represent the Northeast on this one.
Mhm.
I get to New England, right? So I get to Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. I have no trouble. Everything's within 2 hours, pretty much the coast
Yes.
from where I am.
Yes.
But getting down to New Jersey and New York, I just didn't have the time to travel or whatever. So I basically wrote to a few photographers on different photography sites and said, can I use yours as reference?
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so I did use a few references. Catching in bloom was tough too. Like sometimes I'd go and nothing was in bloom yet, or the thing I wanted wasn't in bloom.
Right, right.
But what did I want to tell you? So this one here, I'll share. So some of it could be difficult, but oh, I know it. Two things I want to tell you. So there was a gentleman, and I do the acknowledgments in the back. I won't try to say the names here just right now because I might forget but the one in Long Island, New Jersey. Okay, so this one here, he was kind enough to let me use his photo.
Yeah.
Then what I did was I added this, and that I took myself.
Okay.
So this was his photo, and then I just continued it. But then what I did was
That's so
I
cool.
photographed goldenrod myself when I was in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And so the seaside goldenrod. So I got a good photo of it, but I didn't know where it was going to be. Like, and I
Right.
needed, and so then when I saw it, so then I looked up, oh, he had a seaside photograph of the, seaside goldenrod, and I wrote to him, and then I try to make the image my own. Okay.
Yeah.
With what I have. So this one here too, I'll show you another one. So sometime they're a compilation. So this one here, at Montauk, in New York on Long Island, right?
Yes.
So that one there was late in the season and the rose hips were all gone. They were, shriveled up.
Yes. Yes.
So I added them more for the fall. So even though
That's
this
perfect.
picture was probably more winter, I added the rose hips. So yeah, so a few of the locations, I forget what your question was now, but a few of the locations I couldn't get to, but I would still photograph, and I have tons of photographs of rose hips. So I would just take some of my photographs and because I wanted to include the place again.
Yes. I think that was a great way to do it, to
Yeah.
use the photos of what you had taken of the specific wildflowers and use the landscape from
Yes.
another photograph that a photographer took.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to aspiring authors and illustrators that are interested in creating, educational content like this for kiddos?
Well, I guess you just follow what you love. For me, it was that way.
Yeah.
I just follow what I'm interested in, what I love. And I didn't do it because some people will say, oh, let's see what everyone, what is trendy right now, or
Right.
I didn't think about that. I just love nature. And so what I would say is don't get discouraged. If you're doing it yourself, hire professionals to help you.
Right. For sure.
If you're not an artist, hire an artist. If you're
Right.
not an illustrator, hire an illustrator. If you need help writing, by all means, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get help, because it's really a huge job. It's not easy. And in my experience, don't do it for the money. Do it because you love it.
I think authors are on board with that. They would
Yeah.
agree with
Don't do it
that
the money. You
for
have to
sure.
be passionate about it.
Yes.
It's a lot of work, and it's not something you want to take on lightly.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know what else, but yeah, that would be it. I think just do it because you love to do it. I mean, my
Yes.
passion is nature, and also I really want to protect nature, and that's what underlying everything pretty much that I do, except with
Yes.
the first one. The first one I didn't quite have my focus on.
Mhm.
The seashells was more like just enjoying the beach and collecting the shells. And then
Right.
it was years later, I'm like, okay, well, these shells are important to the beach. Maybe we shouldn't collect them,
Right.
not get too greedy. In other words,
Yes.
leave them for the shore. So
Yeah.
the more I do them, the more I learn, which is a wonderful, wonderful aspect of writing. Don't you think? I love learning.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about your books. I learn so much. Even though I'm an adult, I learn so much from every children's picture book that you put out. And I love using them as a tool in the classroom. I know I've probably said this on other videos. You know, every time I take my daughter on a vacation, I always buy books that we can prepare, prepare where we're going, prepare what we're going to see. And she's so much more into our surroundings because she has a little background going in. And then of course, when we get to the place we're at, I need more books too, right? But it's really such a good tool. It's like, it's educational, it's an entertaining. I can't say enough about your books, Joanne. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Well, you're so smart to do that before you do travel. That is a wonderful
Yeah.
tip.
You know,
Anyone.
I've always done it. And I think it's what I like myself. I like to know where I'm going. You know, oftentimes we buy the guidebooks, and now, in the day and age that we have Google at our fingertips, but everyone looks up, where are they going? What are the good restaurants? What are, what beaches or what
Yeah.
museums are in this? So we all do it naturally, right? So why not grab books and have kiddos, learn alongside you? Like, what are we going
Yeah.
to see here?
Yeah, that's a great approach. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we are so thankful that you came on with us today to talk about your new book, Wildflowers from the Northeast Coast.
I'm always
And
happy to see you and talk to you.
always, and I hope that you will come on again when you have your next book ready.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Joanne's book can be found on Amazon or on her Etsy shop. Joanne will put up that information in the show notes so that people can find your book easily, your books.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And everyone will be back again soon. Thanks for watching.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to like and subscribe to support our channel.